Welcome to the Chamber Spotlight, a local talk show podcast brought to you by the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce in association with the local scene. We'll be recording on a regular basis and we'll cover many topics that span local businesses, local elections, local town governance, and a citizens' academy. I'm your host, Fraser Townley, and today I'm sitting down with Judy Parks from the Affordable Housing Committee. You're chairman, right? Okay. You can say yes. They can't see you nodding.
Yes.
And Erin McGough. Have I said that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay, and you are?
Executive Director, South Shore Habitat for Humanity.
Excellent. I did know that, but I wanted you to say it. But before we get into our conversation today, we're just going to cut to the town hall where I recorded the town news this afternoon. So we'll page over to Andrea Cesarini. It's Monday the 27th of October, and I'm here at Town Hall with Andrea Cesarini. Andrea, you got some news for us.
I do. So road construction, a very popular conversation, it is continuing. And these construction projects we have, they're in connection with various water infrastructure improvement projects. So please avoid Center Street, Oldham Street, and Dwelly Street, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. There is also some flushing that might be going on in those areas. So if you see discolored water and you're near those areas, check the town website. There might be some more information on that. Public meetings. At the time of this recording, October 27th, there's only one posted meeting for this week, and it will be held today, Monday, October 27th at 7 p.m. with our planning board. So at the time of publication, this meeting will already have happened. There's no other scheduled public meetings. Boards and committees have 48 hours to post their scheduled agendas. So check the website maybe in the middle of this week if there's any other updates. Miscellaneous news around town. Winter sports registration for Pembroke high schoolers opens today, October 27th. Winter athletes are invited to Winter Sports Night, 6 p.m. Wednesday, November 12th at Pembroke High School. For more information on winter sports, please contact the Pembroke High School Athletics Department. Pembroke Association for Performing Arts, PAPA, they're holding their annual mattress fundraiser this Saturday, November 1st from 10 to 4 at our community center. You can actually text PAPA25, P-A-P-A 25, to 617-553-7722 for a discount. They have over 25 plus models of mattresses on display of all shapes, styles, and price range, and this money is it benefits our Performing Arts Association, so it goes to a good cause. And the following week, the Pembroke Firehouse Pantry's annual craft fair will be held on Saturday, November 8th from 10 to 3 at the Pembroke Community Center. Please, this is the largest fundraising event for the only food bank in Pembroke, so please come support their local vendors and the food pantry. And additionally, as food insecurity grows with the suspension of SNAP coming, for those wishing to donate to the Firehouse Pantry, they can drop off non-perishables to the town clerk's office during regular business hours of Town Hall, or bring their donations to the pantry directly on Thursday from 10 to 4. The Firehouse Pantry is located at 32 School Street, Pembroke, Mass., inside the Call Fire Station in Bryantville. Property tax exemption applications are still being accepted. For additional information, please contact the assessor's office at 781-293-2393. Second quarter property taxes are due by Monday, November 3rd. Please contact our collector's office at 781-293-2671 with any questions. And water bills will be hitting mailboxes. They are expected to be mailed the week of November 3rd. So keep your eyes out for the water bills. And that's all.
Thank you. So just for the listeners, you mentioned SNAP.
Mm-hmm.
SNAP is an acronym, isn't it?
It is. So it commonly called food stamps.
Right, but it's the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
Yes, correct.
And that's being affected by the government shutdown.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So if you are interested in donating to the food pantry to help battle food insecurity in the community, the Firehouse Pantry is open. They can accepting donations 10 to 4 on Thursdays, or you can bring non-perishables to the town clerk's office. Anytime that we're open, we can accept those and we help deliver those to the pantry. Additionally, they do have a donation bin at the North Pembroke Stop and Shop. So if you can't reach us during regular hours, you can go and drop off donations there.
So get an extra few tins of perishables on your shop and then drop them off at the...
Yeah.
Very good. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks a lot, Andrea.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, so that was the town news, and we're back with Judy and Erin. Let's start with you, Erin. You've already told us what you are and who you work for. What is Habitat for Humanity? What do they do?
Habitat for Humanity is one of 16 affiliates in Massachusetts that are under the umbrella of Habitat for Humanity International. We build affordable housing across Massachusetts. Specifically, South Shore Habitat for Humanity builds in the 32 towns southeast of Boston. So our area is from Hull down to Duxbury, across through the Bridgewaters, up through the Brockton, Avon, Westwood area. So a pretty big area. We're building new construction. We're doing remodels of existing inventory. And we also run a critical home repair program, which does small critical repairs for seniors and veterans.
We actually learned about this at our last meeting, didn't we?
We did. We didn't know about it.
Yeah. And I actually think that's a critical piece of information that I think actually...
Vital.
Well, it's vital, but I think Paris actually described it as one of your biggest secrets or something like that. And we were like, oh.
It is a relatively new program. We've had it for about 2 years now. And it's all privately funded through individual donations and grants, including partnerships through entities like South Shore Elder Services. That's only a portion of our service area, so we raise funds beyond, those few towns that they cover as well. But it's wonderful. It does everything from roof repairs to accessible ramps to fixing tripping hazards to putting grab bars in bathrooms and sort of everything else on the spectrum. As long as we deem it critical, we not only provide the funds for it, but we will either hire a third-party contractor or send in folks from our organization to do the repairs. So the homeowner doesn't have to worry about the quality of the work as well, which is really wonderful and a relief.
And does the homeowner have to then register the home as a Habitat for Humanity critical relief program, or is that?
Make sure that I understand your question. There's no permanent restrictions or anything like that on the home, right? No, it's a one-time grant. We're in, we're out. We get it done for them, and hopefully it allows them to stay in their homes for longer and more safely as well.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Judy.
Yes.
Affordable housing. Introduce yourself and what you do.
Okay. So I'm Judy Parks, and I worked in human services my whole life. I worked in affordable housing and in economic mobility with homeless families and low-income families. I also have spent and had a long history of working with the town of Pembroke. I was on the zoning board and chaired the zoning board for 10 years. I am currently the chair of the Affordable Housing Committee. I am the vice chair of the Pembroke Housing Authority. I'm the vice chair of the Historic District Commission. And I work with the Pembroke Library Foundation to increase the size of the children's room.
So we've had the Historic Society and the Historic District Commission. There are two different chairs. So we've had them in to explain. So 1/3 of what you do for the town is being described. but the Housing Authority and the Affordable Housing, what's the difference between the two?
Okay, so the Pembroke Housing Authority is a state federal mandated organization that provides and oversees the subsidized housing in the town of Pembroke. Most towns have a housing authority. Some towns do not have one. Maybe have another housing authority manage their housing stock. But anything that's funded by HUD or funded by the state in terms of vouchers or public housing, some group homes is managed by the Pembroke Housing Authority. We have mostly elderly housing, but we have a number of Section 8 certificates, families that live in units that are rental units. We have 2 group homes in Pembroke, and we oversee all of that. So it's a very different. It's governed by state and federal regulation, and that's how we get our funds.
Okay, so I know there is a percentage for 40B. Mm-hmm. Is there a mandated percentage for these other types of homes you're
No,
discussing?
We wish we could get more. The problem is that there really is no more funding for building more affordable housing under the state or the federal subsidies these days. In fact, the federal government, I'm sure you have heard, is cutting back on subsidies. The federal government does not want to be in the position of managing and owning housing. So there's been a lot of development that has been joint ventures with private developers to redevelop existing public housing sites. For example, in Boston, Mary Ellen McCormick, Old Colony have been redeveloped. Whittier Street redeveloped with a private partner to create mixed income housing, which quite frankly is a better solution than all low income housing in one place. But it also changes the way the housing stock is funded, and sometimes you lose some affordable, some lower income units because of that.
Yeah. So when you talk affordable housing, when I talk affordable housing, other than when we're together in the on the committee, I talk about housing that's affordable.
Well, there's a big distinction. There's a big distinction. So the thing is, affordable housing, when you talk about affordable housing in the general sense, it's really for working people. And it's for working people who earn, $80,000, between $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year to be able to afford what's considered an affordable unit.
Yeah.
When you talk about subsidized housing or public housing, you're talking about very low income housing.
Right.
For people who earn under $30,000 a year or under $40,000 a year, depending on family size.
What's the state pension?
Sorry?
Pension. How much do you get for a state pension?
I don't know.
I don't think it's 30,000.
Well, I think it depends on how much you earned.
Well, no, I understand. That's why I said state pension.
Yeah, but I think it depends on what you earn. But for example, if you're a person that gets what we currently call welfare, it is nowhere near enough money to rent anything.
I agree.
So
that's the point I'm trying to make in a roundabout sort of way.
So that's the problem. And then the other problem too is that there are income limits, and because of the income limits, families often will turn down raises, work fewer hours in order not to lose their public housing or their vouchers.
Oh, sure.
Because there's no safety net should they lose them. So if you earn over the amount of money for, say, a Section 8 certificate and you go off Section 8 and then you lose your job, you'll never get that certificate back. So people are very reluctant and frightened, quite frankly, to give up some of give that safety net up. I mean, I have lots of personal solutions to that, but that's not what
I'm sure you do. We've got all day.
Yeah. But again, there's some things that could be done that would be helpful to keep people moving.
The listeners can hear how passionate you are. You keep banging the table.
I've been through this with a lot of families. I mean, it's really true. For example, Cambridge is a very good example. People who live in Cambridge public housing, they will never leave. Because if you work in Cambridge and you live next to Kendall Square, why would you move?
Yeah.
Why would you move?
Yeah, and you couldn't afford to move in there.
You couldn't afford to move anywhere in Cambridge.
Yeah. You must be aware of this, Erin. You're listening to Judy get passionate and bang the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, and we so often, in my position at Habitat, we get inquiries from people. I get them several a week, several a day. I'm in such a situation. I need quick housing. Do you have any solutions? And unfortunately, in our situation, we rarely have quick solutions because we're building over a long period of time. But the need is so clearly out there at all different levels of need. Judy makes a very important point, the difference between low income versus moderate to workforce housing. These are all terms that are used sometimes interchangeably, but they actually are very distinctive in terms of their income limits. We at Habitat, we are currently building what would probably be considered low to moderate income. Workforce housing is another great way to put it. Many of the homes, the families that we're placing in our homes are emergency responders and nurses and bank employees, teachers, folks who want to be part of the communities that they work in, and here's their opportunity to live in those communities as well.
Yeah. It was interesting, at the town meeting last week, somebody got up in support. We sat together. So do you remember the guy? He got up. Oh no, it was a lady. She got up in support of the VOTEC, and one of her arguments was, look, there are very few tradespeople out there at this moment in time, and they're all heading rapidly toward retirement. And so she envisaged a period in time in the future where if you could find the plumber, you were paying them $400 an hour if you could find the plumber. So why not pay the $500 a year in taxes to avoid that situation? And it struck me that was a terrific argument. Because it was looking at the consequences of not making these decisions. It's a little bit what you've just been saying, Erin, about the consequences of not supporting and not thinking through, if a firefighter, if you don't have a firefighter living in your town, you don't have a firefighter.
Yes.
you're kind of screwed.
Yes. We're great supporters of VOTEC as well. The house that we're building in Easton right now, the walls were raised by Southeast VOTEC, which is just on the road in Easton. Great programs supporting the next generation of builders. It's a really important skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're part of your entourage, if you were.
Right. And we've done it with various schools over the years, but and habitats do it in different forms. In some cases, I've heard of VOTECs who build within their schools, and then, for instance, the walls are brought to site separately. Other cases, they bring the students. But in the case of Southeastern VOTEC, they actually came several days a week and built on site.
Nice.
And it was great for these kids because many of them had never done new construction before. They had done various versions of the trades, but they had never done new construction. And what a wonderful thing to leave school at 18 and be able to say, hey, I built a house.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Really wonderful
Even
experience.
better if you live in it.
Yes. Exactly.
Good. So that's a bit of background. So I've got a question here. How long has Habitat for Humanity been around? What's its history?
Our affiliate has been around since 1986.
Okay.
So we're celebrating our 40th
40?
birthday,
Yeah.
yes, in the coming year. And initially we were actually founded by United Church of Christ in Norwell. They tell the story that they had a family come to them in need of housing, and they quickly realized that it was much wider need than just this one family.
Sorry.
Yep.
That's Habitat for Humanity?
That's how this is how we were founded. This
The
church.
whole organization?
No, just our affiliate
okay.
in Norwell. I'm sorry. Yes, yes. So they had this family come and they determined that there was a wider community need, and they decided to tap into international and create an affiliate on the South Shore.
Got it.
And we started initially doing renovations in the first few years of our existence. But quickly, by the time they got to the 1990s or so, we started to build new construction, and now we have more than 70 projects that have been built or in progress right now.
So just for my information, but the listeners too, how old is Habitat for Humanity then? If it's an international, what's the founding country, and when?
So it was founded in Georgia.
Okay.
Yes. So, and just a few years before, we were actually in the early years of the founding.
Okay.
And a lot of people know about the Carters and their involvement with Habitat for Humanity. We like to say they were one of our best known volunteers. They came in early into the program. They brought a lot of visibility to Habitat for Humanity. And today we build not just in Massachusetts, obviously, but across the nation. And there's a lot of international building as well.
Right.
So our affiliate is actually, we support on an annual basis building in El Salvador. And most of the American affiliates are partnered up with some international project in that way.
Okay. Is there one in England, in the UK? Because I've heard of it, but I can't work out whether it's because I knew about Jimmy Carter's involvement. You're talking about Jimmy Carter.
Yes,
Jimmy and Rosalind. We should be clear, because I think a lot of listeners may not know who the Carters are.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
It's Jay-Z,
former
isn't
President
it?
Carter, yes. I don't know the answer about England. Let me find that out for you, and I'll get back to you.
I knew of Habitat for Humanity before I joined the Affordable Housing Board. But I'm now questioning myself. Was it because I knew of it in England, or was it because I knew Jimmy Carter? Because, the English like to look up to the American presidents. So maybe that's what it was. Judy, what about our history? The history of is there any history to share of the Affordable Housing Committee?
Yeah, well, I think there is, because I think a lot of it was driven by the passage of the anti-snob zoning law, which actually goes back to the late 60s, which is
anti-what?
Anti-snob zoning, which is what the 40B process really, where it started.
I'm going to have to spell. Are you saying snub or snob?
Snob.
Oh,
anti-snob. Yes, anti-snob.
Okay.
That's what it was called. And it sat on the books for decades without much movement of any sort. But then as the housing situation became more and more critical, then the state stepped in and started saying, we really mean this about this 10% mandate of affordable housing. So I think it's good to understand that when we talk about 10% affordable housing mandated by the Commonwealth, it is housing that is restricted. It is housing that is either funded or has a deed restriction as part of a negotiation with a developer. But it is not just, I have an apartment and I'm renting it as an affordable rent. It is actually it is mandated. It is as a deed restriction, and the tenants or the homeowners either they're chosen either through a lottery or through wait list. So it really is a process for filling affordable housing.
And the Habitat for Humanity homes are counted in that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So in Pembroke, the Affordable Housing Committee, there was actually started, I want to say in the late 80s at some point, but it lay dormant for a long time. There were a few developments that were done in the 80s. When I chaired the zoning board, we had almost gotten to the 10% because, for example, if you build rental housing, all of the units get counted toward the 10%. If you build home ownership, only 25% of the units are deemed affordable and sold as affordable units. So there were a number of developments that were townhouse type developments, but there's a big development called Pembroke Woods, which is 240 units, and that gave the town a big boost in terms of the number of units that would be categorized as affordable.
Yeah.
And over the years, you have to keep catching up because every time you build a new subdivision or a new house, your total number of households goes up, and so therefore the requirement for the 10% goes up. Yeah. So I think the question is, and 10% is the goal. In Pembroke, we had an affordable housing committee, which again was kind of dormant for a while, but we've sort of rejuvenated it, and our goal is to get to 15%. And the reason we've done that is, first of all, there's a need. Number one, because again, the people who live in the affordable units, they are the firefighters, the teachers, the town employees, the kids of people who've grown up in Pembroke.
Yeah.
Also, we want, if you get past the 10%, the town has more control over the development.
Absolutely.
Because at this point, if you're under 10%, the developer has more control. And while you can negotiate some aspects with the developer, if the developer is like our Congress, they don't want to negotiate. So they don't. And you can try to appeal it to the state, but that's often a losing proposition.
So let's be clear for people listening in, because we're all experts here, but they need to understand. So if you're under the 10% and the developer wants to do something, they can just go to state and get everything overridden.
They go to the local zoning. The zoning board, right. The zoning board of appeals is designated as it's called a comprehensive permit.
Right.
And what it's meant to do is to eliminate the developer from having to go to various town boards for approvals. The only town board that the comprehensive permit does not include is conservation. They have to go to conservation. But the Board of Health, all those other boards, planning board, they're all included in that comprehensive permit, of which the zoning board of appeals is the arbitrator. So they're the ones who make the decision.
Yeah.
The developer can bypass local zoning, and that's
correct.
What the big issue is. So
you're under 10%.
If you're under 10%, so you can build development in a zone that's not zoned for multifamily housing. You can build a development that doesn't meet the lot requirements or the setback requirements. You can do all of those things. Again, most of those developments tend to be in negotiation with the town.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're not.
Sure.
So it just really depends. But that's the purpose of having this comprehensive permit.
And that's what we mean when we say friendly 40B.
Friendly 40B is one where the developer comes in and actually works. They usually meet with the Affordable Housing Committee first and vet their ideas about what they want to do. And the Affordable Housing Committee in Pembroke includes the people from the planning board, people like yourself from the chamber and who are active in town, myself who have a lot of housing experience, Carolyn Crossley, who's also is the chair of the Housing Authority in Pembroke and has worked in housing her whole life. Other people who have been very interested in housing, someone who works at Father Bill's Place. So we've got people who are very knowledgeable of housing in its continuum because housing is, and we have a realtor also on our board, committee. So again, you have to look at it in that continuum of housing options and housing availability. And that really does help in terms of a friendly 40B, being able to give good feedback to the developer. For example, we had a developer come in who wanted to build some units that were partially below grade, and the woman who's the realtor said to him, "Those don't sell well." So they don't want people to want to, and so it was a good advice to him because he's a fairly new developer, and we give things like that. We're very cautious because we are an advisory committee. We're not a permit granting authority. We will at the conclusion of a meeting with the developer, give an opinion to the ZBA about whether we think that the project is good. We will state things that we support in the project and things that we think they need to question. So, for example, in one of the developments that we thought was going to be a reasonable development, we also said to them, we are not going to make the determination of the number of units. We think you should be making that determination because we have some concerns about the number of units proposed. So that's kind of how that our committee functions. But it's
we carry weight.
We carry weight, yeah, we do. And then also we can do what's there's also the one there's a friendly 40B that actually the local initiative project where the selectmen can actually approve the project after we recommend it, and then it can go get its comprehensive permit from the ZBA.
Right. Terrific. So I think we've actually covered what types of affordable housing. But do you, Erin, you fall under the same rules and regs?
We do. So we're one of those options and developers.
Right.
We are not building the large 200 or 300 unit complexes. Our sweet spot is these smaller parcels. Often we do a lot of legwork ourselves, working with towns in order to identify what parcels are sort of sitting there and have, been on the lists for a while, or for one reason or another, nothing can be done with them. We are building 1 unit, 2 unit properties, sometimes up to 6 to 8 units, but that's been very rare in our history. And we're sort of focused on family homes as opposed to apartment units, as an example. But we can often do something with parcels that other developers aren't interested in or can't do anything with. And we do work very hard in order to create relationships with the local entities and to work with the towns in order to create something that, the town really welcomes and is looking forward to.
Cool.
But the one thing I want to say, though, is that Erin also has to go through the 40B process, a friendly 40B process, because oftentimes the sites that they identify don't meet the current zoning.
Right.
No. And the problem is the only mechanism that exists at this time to build on those lots is to go a 40B route, which is a little onerous, but that's the only mechanism that's in place.
Yeah. Which I think that's a nice segue to, if you see here, projects. Erin, what have you got up at yours? So I learnt that we have not done a Habitat for Humanity project in Pembroke for 25 years?
I believe it was 1999. Mm-hmm. Yes. 26
years?
Yeah.
Okay. So what have you got up your sleeve?
Well, we just finished a duplex in Cohasset. So that's an attached, 2 homes attached. Very tiny parcel right at the corner of Jerusalem and Hull. And welcomed 2 wonderful families to that parcel, one in June and then one in September. We're currently building a single-family home on Pequannock Avenue in Easton for a local school teacher and her 3 daughters who will be moving into that home. That will be done this spring. We're also tree clearing on another parcel in Easton that will have 2 more homes on it eventually, also starting next spring. We are passing papers on a parcel in Marshfield right now, which will be a single-family home, and looking at a number of new projects, including Pembroke.
Mm-hmm. Can we get specific?
I think we should wait until we meet with the select board. They are aware of the project that we're looking at, as well as some of the abutters. But I think we should. In all fairness, we should wait.
I thought I saw something. That's all.
Yeah. We can talk in generalities about what it is.
Yep.
I think that's really Erin should.
Well, the point is we have a need for affordable housing. We haven't had a project, a Habitat for Humanity project for 26 years, and there's potentially something coming up. I think that's
yes. I mean, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a donation of the land.
I understand.
So that's why I think we should.
Yes. Okay.
So let's talk. What I love about Habitat for Humanity is you're talking about the potential of a project that's a lot more than just construction. Mm-hmm. So, we are a local nonprofit with local ties. We have our own board and our own fundraising needs in order to make these homes happen. In any project, no matter what it is, about a third of the costs are actually raised through in-kind donations. So we seek out services from local architects, from engineering firms, donations of floorings and appliances in order to make these homes happen, which is an incredible number of partners that come in just through the in-kind donation program. And, they say that it takes 500 volunteers to build a home with Habitat.
Wow.
So over the course of the 12 months or 9 months or whatever it ends up taking us to build the home, more than 500 people pass through that home's doors, helping to swing hammers and wash windows and install kitchen cabinets. And each one of them along the way becomes an ambassador for affordable housing because of this experience that they've had with Habitat. So we may not have the largest footprint in terms of affordable housing, but we have a really important job in terms of messaging and education of the public.
Yeah. I found out at our last meeting that one of our newest members in town, Koopman Lumber, they've been a supporter of yours as well. So it's good that we've got all these elements coming together at a critical time. So
it's also important that the particular site we're looking at in Pembroke, a for-profit developer probably couldn't afford to build on that site.
Well, that's the point.
Which
Otherwise, they would have done.
Right, exactly. So that it makes that land, it adds it to the tax rolls. It gives housing to a couple of families, but without Habitat, it would never happen.
Or us. Give ourselves some credit.
No, it's true.
Right.
No, it's really true though.
The old adage about a village is truly true in this situation. It takes thousands of people to make these projects happen. It's a wonderful thing to watch happen.
Yeah. I'll be looking forward to watching.
We have a job for you.
Oh, you do? Go on then. What is it?
You go with a hammer or something. We'll find a job for you. Don't worry.
We find jobs for everyone.
All right. Well, I'll promote it here, shall I? How about that? Okay. So projects, vision. What's your vision for the future?
Well, our institutional vision is to be able to ramp up capacity, to be able to build in multiple locations at a time, to have enough bandwidth across the organization to be able to move the needle on affordable housing as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Because we know that the need is there, and we're so critically aware of wanting to put more people into homes, right?
Sure.
I think in terms of
sorry, what are the kind of people that you're helping? What backgrounds are they? I mean, are we talking about veterans? Are we talking about school, like you said, school teachers?
Right. I mean,
single parent?
Just looking at the last few homes that we've placed, school teachers, single parents, emergency responders, employees of our local banks, caretakers, families that have medical needs or disabilities in the family in some ways. We're making accommodations in order to ensure that folks can stay in their homes longer. We're looking at multi-generational family homes. We're looking at aging in place and being able to stay in your homes. I was just saying before the program that a very large percentage of the homes that we've built in the history of our organization still have their original families in them. The longevity of these homes and how they serve the families is a really important part of the story. So those are the people that we're serving. These are the people who work in our communities every day. Nonprofit workers are a great example of that. And they're contributing to the communities, and they want to be able to live in them as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What's your vision, Judy?
Well, I think that, I want to give the town of Pembroke some credit in that over the last 30 years, people's attitude about affordable housing has changed dramatically. When I first...
Up or down?
It's much more positive.
It's improved. Okay.
Much more positive. Great. In the beginning, it was, I moved from Dorchester not to live next to those people. That was the attitude that we got from a lot of people whenever we would propose or have a hearing on a 40B development or affordable housing development. But people, I think, have started to understand that, again, there's a continuum of need of housing. You need rental housing. When I first moved to Pembroke, you couldn't even have, even now, there's no place where you can allow a duplex. You can't build. I mean, this ADU situation has opened up the door a lot. Prior to that, we had a in-law apartment, but you had to be blood relative, and you only could have 900 square feet. I mean, so
it had to be attached.
It
was 800 square feet.
800, whatever it was. Yeah. It was too small, but anyway, they had to be attached. All these things, but I think people are starting to understand that there are needs that that kind of restrictive zoning doesn't meet. So I think that people are starting to be much more receptive. I mean, I would hope that we could have more opportunities for home ownership on smaller lots. I think that one of the problems has been prior to the zoning change in Pembroke, which was prior to the 80s, I'm not exactly sure when that went into effect, there were lots of developments built on smaller lots, and they still exist.
Around the ponds.
Down the ponds, or Hamilton Drive, or Lorna Ave. There's a whole bunch of places where they were modest homes, 2-3 bedroom homes on 5,000-6,000 square foot lots. They're still standing. They're still occupied. They're still valuable. And I wish that we would be able to do more of that, because what's happened is, because we've driven the value of those smaller houses up so high that they're not affordable to a young family anymore, nor are they affordable to a family who elderly family wants to downsize, because the house they currently live in is worth the same as this one.
Why are you pointing at me?
I'm not pointing. I'm just
Got to be an elderly.
I'm Italian. I use my hands. Okay. So anyhow, it's just one of those things, and I would really like to see have more opportunities for home ownership at a more entry level than we currently have. I mean,
I don't disagree.
I think it's really, and towns like Pembroke have struggles with land use because, let's be honest, there's lots of ponds, lots of wetlands.
Yep.
There's conservation, which I'm all supportive of, but there are some restrictions on the way that land can be used in our town because of these things.
I think we have 400 usable acres left that aren't used, and 400 translates to about 250 homes once you put in services, roads, connectors.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is I guess again, I don't want to get in trouble with the planning board, but do you really need a 40-foot roadway for 4 houses? There's some things that I think that we do that we could modify, and they could be done so that we could build more and have less land that's not really productive in terms of providing housing.
I don't think you will be upsetting the planning board. I believe Andy Wandell would agree with you.
Okay. I live on a road. I live on a road that's like a dirt road, so it doesn't.
Listen, where I grew up in the UK, there's an actual expression that makes you a super landowner. And it's a third of an acre. Yeah. So if you had a third of an acre or more, you told everybody, I live on a third of an acre. Here, if you said I live on a third of an acre, I'm so sorry.
So sorry. The thing that actually gets me a lot is that the 40-foot setback off the street, because people have these big lawns, you never see anyone out there in their front yard.
No, of course
never.
Not. I don't get it, actually.
It's an American thing, though. There's this notion of these big lawns in the front that are completely useless. You put a garden in, grow tomatoes, but it's all just grass with fertilizer, using water, and someone has to cut it.
When I first moved here, I had bought an antique, and we understood the setbacks was 40 feet. So my father, he and I pretended we were architects. So we drew the plans for this addition that we put on. It was basically converting a barn, a 3-story barn, which was 40 feet set back. And we took, no, you've got to go before the ZBA. Why? Because your original house is within, oh my Lord. So we did, and we got the approval, and that was fine. That was 20 years ago now, but...
It's probably came in front of me.
What I do remember is my neighbor owned the Christmas tree farm. Bob Costanza, he sadly passed away now, but he came to the hearing, and again, as an Englishman, if your abutters come to the hearing, oh no, here we go. So I do my presentation, and then, so is any abutter here to talk about? And Bob puts his hands up, and I looked at my wife, and here we go. He got up and he said, I want you all to know, Mr. Townley and his family are a lovely family, and it's my opinion that if man wants to do what he does on his land, he gave this brilliant speech, and it was for us. It was positive. And I never forgot that, and I always appreciated that. And then it was one day he took me for a tour in his house, and he showed me the addition that he put on, I think without permits, at about the same time. So, okay, I get it. But anyway, it was a great experience, but no, you didn't deny me or give me. So that's the vision. What about the vision and future? I've got 2 questions here. What's your vision? What's the future? Is there any difference? Oh, actually, there is, because this is what you wanted. Now tell me what you think is going to happen. What's the future for you, Erin? The future for Habitat for Humanity?
Well, I think we're all keeping up with a quickly changing scene in terms of the situation over the next couple of years. We're exploring new avenues.
When you say quickly changing scene?
Funding, philanthropic support,
Right.
government contracts,
Right.
all of these things are very uncertain. Our construction costs are very uncertain in the coming years.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be proactive about making good organizational planning decisions, exploring new avenues. ADUs is a great example. All electric homes is another example. Trying to think about the success rate of families in our homes and what can we do proactively at the design stage in order to reduce, for instance, the lawn care that they're going to be required to do in order to make life in these homes easier as the years go by. So we're trying to build enough capacity in our organization to be able to sit down and think those things through and dream a little bit.
Have you seen these 3D printed homes? It's
Yes.
concrete.
Yeah.
Have you done any of those?
No, we haven't. Although there are a number of Habitat affiliates that are exploring they're sort of modular, almost like Lego units.
Yeah.
So those sorts of things are definitely coming up
Cool.
in conversations.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What do you think is the future?
I'm very concerned about the future, to be honest with you.
In Pembroke or in general?
In general, but I think it comes down to Pembroke as well. I mean, the cost of building is becoming astronomical, and it's driven really by interest rates are very high.
Although they're coming down.
They're coming down, yeah, but they're still up there. That the issue with uncertainty around tariffs and around manufacturing.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that is going to come into play here is the fact that families are having fewer children, and so the issue around the schools is going to become a very critical situation in terms of, the schools take up a big chunk of the town budgets, but do we have too many spaces in our school? Do we not have one? I mean, so those kind of questions are going to put a real crimp on town finances. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is,
I think they already are.
Well, they are already.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. They are. So the thing is, it's going to make it more difficult even for the town and for the Commonwealth, quite frankly, to try to fill some of those gaps that the federal government is deciding they're not going to fill. And so, for example, with the cuts at HUD, the state tries to fill in some things that's the whole reason we have a state voucher program. But the question is, how far can that go? And so I'm very concerned about that. I'm concerned about the fact that we're not giving families choice of housing because we wind up building just rental housing, large developments of rental housing, which don't give family the opportunity to invest in a single family home or even a two family home should they choose, because the rents are so high. I mean, the fair market rent in Boston for a 3-bedroom unit is $3,415 a month. So how do you afford that? How do you save any money to be able to have a down payment? So in the 2-bedroom one it's 27 and change. So it's those are the kind of things that make me concerned about the future of housing. I think that, again, the federal government's trying to get out of that business. And these public-private partnerships, while they're great in many ways, they also limit how many units we are going to be building over time. So I don't want to be pessimistic, but I am just very concerned that there's a great need, and I think that there's a role that government needs to play. Mm-hmm. And I think that, unfortunately, government is not seeing that role is critical. I mean, it's the same as with healthcare. I mean, there's a role that government needs to play in these things to have we've got a big discrepancy here between an income. And so there's how do you fill that gap between those who are billionaires and those who are working for $25 an hour? I mean, you can't live on $25 an hour today.
No, you can't.
So that's where
true.
That's where I am. I get concerned about those things.
If I may too, I think it's really important to recognize that home ownership is still the cornerstone of asset building in American culture. And, there's the question of housing. There's a need for housing across the board, all different types of housing, but home ownership is its own sort of question and its own importance. And we know in Habitat that the home ownership that we offer to the families that get placed in our homes, not only does it generally bring down their cost of living to an affordable rate, their housing costs to an affordable rate, but then they see other dramatic impacts. They see better outcomes in terms of health, better food on the table, better savings rates, the ability to, for the first time, enter traditional investment in a way that they couldn't before, better educational outcomes, not just for their children, but for themselves as well. And we see these sorts of impacts across the board just through that simple catalyst of home ownership. And, that's one of the reasons why we're such a strong advocate of that through Habitat.
And we can't negate and overlook the generational wealth issue and the asset building. And that really took off here after World War II, when they were really trying to get GIs and people to move out of public housing, out of the cities into suburbs. But those developments, that housing, those single family homes built wealth that got passed on. And we're at a point now where I think it was a couple of years ago, this thing came out that most American families can't get their hands on $400. I mean, and that's really frightening. And unless you have a family that can assist their children in down payments and in things like that, a lot of them can't afford to buy a house.
Whilst that's true, I'm going to be just a little bit of devil's advocate.
Okay.
In that I had read that the last recession that we had, it didn't hit Americans as hard as it did other countries, purely because of the fact that since World War II, there's been so much invested in property that people haven't had that. It's a buffer to them, and they can borrow against the house to protect them from hard times. I'm not saying it's right, but it is. It has had an
2008
impact.
is all I'm going to say.
Well, yeah, but 2008 hit the whole world.
But the home ownership issue here in the States with the bad mortgages and the bad second mortgages, really, it tanked everything. And there were a lot of people that lost everything.
You know how China dealt with that? So China looked at Obama, and I shouldn't use names. They looked at America, and America handed out $1 trillion to bail out the banks and bail out the car companies and stuff like that. You know what the banks and the car companies did? They took that money and they went and invested it in foreign assets and so on and so forth. China put $3 trillion
And it was
down.
George Bush that was the president then.
It was 2008. So, yes, there was a transition.
He was, It was,
that's why I chose not to use names.
in September of 2008, that's when 2008 is when Lehman Brothers collapsed.
Yeah,
and that just kind of snowballed the whole.
But it was a global collapse.
Yeah, it was. But again, if you looked at the mortgage situation and the way that what had happened here.
So, let me just finish my story.
Go ahead.
So, in China, they handed out $3 billion, but they handed it out to developers, and they built. They built and they built and they built, and that was part of the engine that has driven China's explosive growth. Now, the fact is they've got 65,000 apartments that are unused.
Maybe Hank Paulson could move over there.
But but it's just, I don't know, we're getting too deep now.
We are.
Get us out of here. And
yeah, I think we shouldn't be completely pessimistic. I mean, I think this is America. We can pull ourselves out of a lot of messes. I hope. So again, I think
so there's a lot of okay. Just a quickie. When tariffs were introduced, I was like, thank goodness. When I first moved here, I couldn't believe I don't have to pay tariffs when I bring things in here. Everywhere I've been in the world, 14%, 20%, 25% tariffs. This is the only country that doesn't charge tariffs or didn't. And so I actually found it refreshing. I mean, it annoyed me. It made my business a little bit trickier, but I thought it was the right thing to do. We should be charging countries that are cheating us on labor costs and stuff like that. You're looking pained, Erin.
Please finish your thought.
Well, no, it's. Yeah. I mean, we should have been paying tariffs. I'll give you another example. Okay, in 2008, because we talked about 2008. The car companies were going down. And I remember about 18 months before 2008, there was this big negative statement that General Motors, $15,000 of every General Motors car being sold was going going to healthcare and pensions of the workers. And people were outraged. What the hell? I'm not paying this. People were upset about that. But they wouldn't work for General Motors and not have healthcare and not have a pension. So it didn't make sense to me. But at the time, the fastest growing car company was Nissan. Now we know you can check this. You don't have to believe me. It was the fastest growing brand in America. Nissan is owned by a French state-owned company called Renault. And Renault was state-owned. So you were switching from, I'm not paying $1,500 to General Motors, I'm going to buy a Nissan. And to buy a Nissan, you're putting money into the French government.
Pensions and healthcare.
Right. It just didn't make sense. And it's because, I guess, the special interest groups and lobbyists who are preventing us from knowing the truth. That's all. And welcome to the podcast where we give you the truth.
No, it's true though. I mean, I think that I am not a fan of tariffs, and I think that they've been used in a way that's not. They've been used in punitive ways, which
that's different.
Which is very different, and just but that's what's happened here, and I think the other problem here too is that America has an immigration problem, and has had an immigration problem for a long time. It's always been a country of immigrants. It's always been a country with multiple people from different all over the place from this very inception.
I'm an immigrant.
Very inception, but it was very diverse from its very inception. I mean, it really was. I mean, and we don't want to deal with this problem, but we have an aging population, which is retiring, and we have fewer children, and we have need for employees in most places, and we don't want to acknowledge the fact that we've got to figure out how to have some kind of an immigration policy. I mean, and that's a problem. I'll be honest with you.
That's a different podcast. I'm sorry, Judy.
It is. I know it is, but it does impact housing. It does impact housing.
Of course it does.
It impacts construction. It impacts all these things.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that's one of those things that we have to look at.
Yeah. Not for this podcast.
No, I'm done.
All right. Thank you for that. Where's your soapbox? Okay, so we are well over time, which is great because I've enjoyed the conversation. Is there anything, Erin, you wanted to say that you feel we haven't been able to cover? Because I steered it off in a different direction, talking about tariffs and what have you.
I think it's really important to recognize the role of volunteers in the whole conversation.
Sure.
Our organization runs on volunteers at a lot of different levels. The affordable housing committees and much town organization, all of the committees in town are all volunteers. And these are the folks who are working and shaping the trajectory of our town's futures.
Yeah.
And I think, encouraging folks who, have a little bit of time and lots of thought to give to get involved at the local level and to make these sorts of projects possible for all of us.
So how do volunteers listening in become a volunteer? Who do they get in touch with? What's the website?
sshabitat.org is our website. You can sign up to come build with us. That's actually the number one way that people get involved with our organization is they come as individuals or they come with groups, organizations, companies on what we call build days. You can bring a group of 10 of your colleagues and come and build with us.
Yeah.
No experience is required. Some folks show up with a lot of experience. Some of them are from other construction companies, and others have never wielded a hammer before in their lives. And we teach everybody, and we find work for everybody. Every contribution is welcome. So that's the number one way.
You teach?
We teach. We'll teach you how to build.
What a great organization.
And depending on when you're there, you could be raising walls, or you could be putting up, we just finished putting the trusses on the house in Pequannock. You could be installing kitchen cabinets. You could be painting walls. You could be doing any number of things depending on where in the process we are. But it is true construction from the ground up. And then we also have a number of other ways. Help us with events, work on our golf tournament, help us in the office, work on a committee, become a board member. There's lots of different ways to volunteer.
Yeah. So sshabitat.org, I'm guessing that's South Shore Habitat.
SouthShoreHabitat.org.
Fabulous. Thank you, Erin. Judy?
Again, I would echo Erin's comment about volunteers. I mean, and even in every town, I mean, the towns run on volunteers. Every board, every committee is run by volunteers. Yeah. And it shouldn't always be the same people. We need new voices.
Yes.
No, we do. We really do. And I think it's important for people to find some time and give as much as you can to be an active participant in your community.
Mm-hmm. That's a great note to end on, actually. So I want to thank our guests, Erin and Judy, for participating, and thank you to the listeners for tuning in. This podcast will be available on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube with additional links to our Facebook page. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce. And if you're interested in becoming a member of the Chamber, please go to the Pembroke Chamber of Commerce website, pembrokechamber.org. Judy, Erin, terrific. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.